Hi, welcome back to Living History with Alex. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Brandon Post, our current firefighter and for Miami-Dade, and is also an international trainer as well as international competitions around the globe. So today we're going to ask him a few questions and we're going to see what we can learn about his history. So thanks for coming, Mr. Brandon.
Got it. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me.
So we've seen that you have brought us some really cool show and tell for us today. We'll get on that later in our podcast.
Okay.
So our first question is, what inspired you to become a firefighter?
Oh, that's a really great start-off question. So my mom doesn't even know, since I was smaller than you and could even speak. And you always ask a young person, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was always firefighter. And my mom really doesn't know where it came from. She said I like to help a lot of people out all the time, even if it's just opening a door or whatever. So I guess that's just that nature. So nobody really knows where it came from. And I actually pursued that, as opposed to a little kid saying I want to be an astronaut and not doing it. I actually pursued it my whole entire life throughout high school, college, and I made it happen. So nobody really knows where that drive came from, but I feel like it was just meant to be.
So what are the first steps of becoming a firefighter?
Okay, so the first steps, obviously, you have to be an adult. You have to be above 18. So that's a standard requirement for almost most jobs in this world. You have to graduate high school or equivalent, GED or graduate high school. And that's basically it to apply to be a firefighter. If you do education on your own, there's chances you can get hired sooner, like become a paramedic. Or if you go to fire college, there is such thing as fire college. Not like a university, but there's a vocational, become a firefighter. And if you already have done that before you apply for the job, sometimes the fire departments will hire you faster than somebody that doesn't have those classes. So minimum, be an adult and graduate high school or equivalent. That's the minimum.
Yeah. So I also know that you're an international trainer as well as you do international competitions. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure. So I do two things that take me around the world. One is an extrication competition. We founded a team called Black Heart Extrication Team, and we travel around the world to various countries, and we compete against the world in extricating people from vehicle accidents. So people get in vehicle accidents all over the world, as there's cars all over. And we perform maneuvers and tactics to get them out. And there's a score sheet, of course, because it is a competition. And there's 36 teams from all over the world. And this past year, we went to Croatia, previous year, Portugal. I've been to Brazil, to South America. So it takes us all over the world. And every year it's somewhere different. Next year, it'll be in Brazil. And you get to meet a bunch of firefighters from all over the world. You get to see how they do things differently than America does. You get to learn a lot. You get to make a lot of friends. And of course, you get to represent not only your fire department, but your country. So it's kind of cool representing your country. So I know what an Olympian feels like. I don't think I'm on that level of an Olympian, but it's kind of cool just stepping out, representing USA versus just a firefighter from Miami-Dade. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I also work for FEMA. When there's a natural disaster, we are Florida Task Force 1, Urban Search and Rescue. We've been to all the hurricanes, like Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Ian in the coast. Where 9/11 happened, the FEMA team went to New York. We've been to Haiti to the earthquake. So whenever there's a natural disaster and the region asks for help, we are one of the 26 international teams from around the country that can go there and provide firefighter and rescue assistance.
Are there any type of memorable moments for you while serving in natural disasters across the globe?
So they're all memorable. Some are bad because during natural disasters, obviously there's a big loss of life. So that's memorable in a somewhat negative way. But in Haiti, there were times, and even in Katrina, where we saved a lot of people's lives. They were under 3 floors of rubble and building, and we broke and tunneled our way in to get to them. We made a little hole and we were sending them food down the hole so they can stay alive until we get to them. And so we've made several saves. And so each life you save is very memorable. I could go into detail description on everything we did because they stay with you. So those are some of the positive ones. So there's a lot of memorable moments, some good, some bad. You try to keep the positive ones going.
So as we know of 9/11, you said that you served there. What was it like for you there?
So I didn't go to 9/11. My team went to 9/11. I got hired in 2001, which is also when 9/11 happened. So I wasn't able to deploy to New York. But obviously you see and you're now hired with the fire department, and all your friends and your colleagues go there, and then you hear stories from them. It was a big emotional roller coaster from what they tell us. A lot of people have traumatizing experiences, but I did not get to go. I was a newly hired firefighter at that time.
Because 9/11 shook pretty much the globe as well as America itself.
Not only the biggest disaster, but also for firefighters. You know, the number 343, that's how many firefighters were lost, but thousands of lives were lost in general. So it was a big hit for the firefighter world. Kind of an odd time for me to be hired and starting my career right in the same midst of a natural disaster like that. So, but that's what we do. Someone has to go in and try to save the lives, and that's what we signed up for.
So as we know, there was a lot of flooding in Katrina.
Yes.
How did that make it more difficult for saving lives?
Well, everywhere we go has to be on boats. So we don't know what's under the water. It's not like your pool where you can see to the bottom, or a nice lake where you can see. The water's dirty. There's stop signs. Can you imagine riding in a boat and your propeller hits a stop sign? That doesn't work very well. So you have to go in boats. You have to go slow, even if you don't know what's under the water. There could be a car, there could be a tree. If we jump in the water and land on something, that could hurt ourselves. So it created a lot of challenge. You take for granted that we're just walking and you can see where you're walking. You can't see anything under that water. So just gaining access to people was one problem. And then everyone was up on their roofs because they had to get up to their roofs. If they couldn't make it in the roofs, they were inside their house. Using some of the firefighter tools that we have are very heavy. You normally do that standing on the ground where you have your feet and your strength and your leverage, but now you're doing that from a boat. So imagine trying to swing a baseball bat standing on a boat that's moving. So it's quite difficult to do all the things that you're trained to do, but from a boat. Like if we had to break open a window or cut open a roof to get somebody that's trapped inside their house out, it just made everything you do that much more challenging. Just because everything had to be from a boat versus walking or from a car.
So as you know, do you currently work in Miami?
I am currently on my 24th year. I've been, again, since I have been hired in 2001, we're 2025, so 24 years I've been on the fire department. I'm actually in the process of thinking about retirement, which sounds weird. I'm only 48 years old, but it's the nature of the beast. So yeah, I love what I do. I work at the station down the street, right on 152 Street and 137, Station 43. It is a technical rescue station where we do the jaws of life, extrication. We'll do rope rescue. If somebody's trapped on a building and we have to rappel or use rope to lower, we can do that. We go in confined spaces like a manhole or a sewer. We go in tight spaces. So anytime you see some technical aspect that's just not firefighting, we also do that.
For those who don't know, what does extrication mean? So
extrication is, by definition, is removing something or someone from something. So when people get into a car accident, metal obviously bends and deforms, and people can't open the door, or the car might have crushed so much that they're in their seat and they can't move. And so it's our job to come in here with the jaws of life and extrication. And we use hydraulics, and because we're not strong enough with our bare hands, we use tools and leverage and physics and all this stuff to break that metal or make the metal bend back and open the doors or cut the roof off. And we basically separate that car into however many pieces possible to get them out. So extrication by definition is just removing somebody from a place that they're trapped. When we use extrication, it's 90% of the time talking about a car, but you can be trapped in a building and we will rescue you or extricate you from that building if you are trapped in that building as well. So
can you tell us about how the Jaws of Life works and what do you use it for? So
the Jaws of Life is a nickname that was given to these tools many years ago. I actually don't know when, but basically it's a hydraulic tool. There's fluid inside this chamber, and for those that study hydraulics, it is the study of fluid and how fluid compresses and what it does. And so when you compress this fluid with high pressure, because there's a hose that goes in here and there's a power plant that's like a motor or generator, and it'll push that fluid inside. It compresses, and it'll make those jaws open and close depending on which way you turn the lever. And it opens and closes at like 70,000 PSI. Your tire in your car is about 40 PSI. So when we talk 40 PSI versus 70,000 PSI, that's how we're able to do what we do. And there's different types, meaning this one spreads. So if I want to make something spread apart, I could put the tips between something and it could open and push 2 cars apart. Or I can grab 2 things and I can close it. And then there's also the cutter. A cutter is basically looks like a giant can opener. I can put it around a piece of metal and I can cut it right in half. And that's how we're able to cut the cars in half. And then there's another one called a ram. It basically looks like a long tube and it just shoots 2 bars out and it could just push things aside. And with all those tools, we use our knowledge to use them appropriately to separate those pieces of metal from somebody. And then just like cars, there's different manufacturers. This one's orange, so it's made by Hamatro. There's other brands out there like Amcus and TNT and Hearst, just like Honda, Ford, Toyota. But our fire department uses this one and another one called Genesis. But this is the one that my extrication team, the Black Hearts, this is one we use by Hamatro. And they're just amazing, strong tools, but they're heavy. This tool alone weighs 50 pounds. So some children don't weigh 50 pounds. So you have to hold that tool above your head, below your head, for as long as it takes to rescue that person. So sometimes you get tired. So you have to know how to use that tool properly and don't hurt yourself and don't drop it on your foot either.
So also working in international training, what are the competitions like?
The competitions are somewhat like reality and somewhat like a game. The reality of it is they get machinery and they crush the cars. They really try to crush and destroy and beat up the cars to make it look like a real accident. Because when 2 people are driving down the road and they hit, it's really hard to mimic that. But they try their best in using heavy machinery to crush the doors, crush the roof, and they actually put live people inside. Not while they're crushing it, but they'll crush a car and they'll get someone to sneak inside the car, because if there's nobody in the car, then there's no reason to cut the car apart. So we put a real person that volunteers with safety gear and helmets and everything so they don't get hurt. And our job is to rescue them. And all the techniques and all the tools that we're using are just like what we do on the job. However, there's things that you do in the competition that you don't do in the real world. In the real world, there is no clock. My job is to get that person out as fast as possible. And if they need to go to the hospital, go to the hospital. If it takes 30 minutes or if it takes an hour, you just got to keep working until that person's free. In the competition, because you can't let it go forever, it's 25 minutes. So if you don't get that person out in 25 minutes, there's a whistle that blows and you stop. Doesn't mean that they die or anything bad happens to them. They just climb back out of the car, but you now failed at your mission in that competition. It's like trying to score a touchdown and you don't score a touchdown. So that's where it becomes real versus fake, is that there's a score sheet, there's points, there's judges, there's trophies, and there's a clock. In the real world, there are no judges, there are no score sheets, and there's no clock. You're just trying to save a life for real. So that's the hardest part, that you have to be able to have the mindset to know that I have to do things differently here in competition and do things differently when I'm in the real world, because there's a real life at stake.
So how much pressure is it representing your country?
That's a big one. There is a lot of pressure. I've been doing this competition for 14 years now. We've been world champs. We've been national champs. So that pressure also builds up to you. The fact that you are representing your department, you're representing your family, you're representing your country. It does put a big pressure on you. But I think as firefighters, we put the pressure on ourselves because we want to do good. We're very competitive. Most people that play games and do competitions, you want to win. You want to do good, but you want to win. So there is a lot of pressure on it, but I just turn that mindset to, this is what I do for a living. It's like tying your shoe. You don't feel pressure when you tie your shoe, right? Even if someone's watching you, because you know how to tie your shoe. So there's pressure, but when the whistle blows and the clock starts, I think it kind of goes away, because your adrenaline and your skills kick in, that this is what I know how to do. So During the competition, I don't feel the pressure. It's usually before.
So can you tell us a bit about your helmet and this tool?
So the helmet is a standard helmet that we use. It's fiberglass. There are some people that use leather helmets. It has a helmet shield up front that represents the station that I work at, 43. Ours for Miami-Dade are black. And if you're an officer, they have stickers. These are called tetrahedrons that put your rank. I'm a firefighter, so mine's black. And then there's lieutenants that are red, captains that are orange, and chiefs that are white. So you can tell from a distance what rank that person is. And then it helps us. It provides two functions. When you're in a smoky house, you can't see where you're going. Imagine walking around here with your eyes closed. That's how it is walking around the fire. You can't see. So you bump into a lot of things with your head as well. So imagine if we didn't have that. This protects your head from when you bump into things, for when the drywall happens to fall on your head. And then also when the water rolls off. That's why the back of this has this curve and it's longer, is the water will roll off and not go down your neck, because the water in the fire gets hot. As we're shooting water out of our hose, it can get hot because of the fire and steam. And you don't want that rolling down your neck, and you don't want water in your jacket because steam can hurt you. So the helmet provides a lot of functions like that. The tool over there is called a Halligan tool. I believe it was named after a chief in New York in the 40s. Of course, his name was Chief Halligan. I don't know his first name, but his last name was Halligan. So they named the tool after him. And this is, I would say, one of our top 3 tools that every firefighter in the country uses. It's usually paired up with an axe, the typical axe that you guys see like Paul Bunyan or chopping trees, but we use axes as well. And they're used to open doors. So if we were trying to climb in here through the balcony and the door was locked, we can use that, or the front doors or bars. So we can use that tool for various reasons. There's an adze end for prying. There's a spike end to use so we can swing it and poke holes in things and make purchase points. And there's a fork end at the other side that we can use to put it in and give us leverage to pry open a door.
So the back end of a hammer.
Basically, and you can hit this if you have a sledgehammer or axe. So you could put this in and someone can strike it because it's made out of heavy duty steel. And they come in various lengths. They can come short, long. This one's about 36 inches. But it's probably my favorite firefighting tool. If I could have one tool as a firefighter, besides the jaws of life, it would probably be the Halligan. So that was the reason for me bringing it. I think the Halligan represents firefighters very well.
So how quick do you have to be to respond to an accident?
So we work 24 hours. I go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I don't go home until the next day at 7 o'clock in the morning. So 24 hours. And in those 24 hours, you have to be ready 24 hours. There is never a time when you're not ready. If you're sleeping, be ready. If you're eating, be ready. If you're working out, be ready. So if we're in the station, and whether we're training, exercising, watching a movie, whatever we're doing, and the tones go off in the station, meaning the siren goes off at the station, you have between 1 to 2 minutes to get to the truck. That's how fast our department wants us to respond. I will tell you that some of us get to the truck sooner. I run to the truck, I drive the fire truck. So I have the best job in the world. I get to drive a fire truck for a living. And so I get to that truck and I make sure I know where I'm going. So when you get addresses, you start learning about addresses and how to get around the streets of Dade County. And you have about 1 minute to 2 minutes that they want you to get to the truck, because that's just getting to the truck. Now, wherever the address is, how long does that take us to get there through traffic, through lights, through rain? So sometimes we can go really far and it takes us 20 minutes. Sometimes the accident is in front of the station and it takes us 5 seconds. So it all depends on where the accident is, because we get called to the accidents based off GPS. So dispatch is going to send the closest truck by GPS. So all of our trucks have GPS on it, and whoever's the closest is going to go, because you want to be there faster. The faster we get there, the faster we can help somebody. So it could be minutes, or hopefully not longer than a few minutes.
So finishing up, are you proud of your service?
Oof. I am proud up to this point. I don't want to say I'm completely proud, because I'm not done yet. I still have more years to serve. I try to be the best firefighter I can be. I try to be the best driver I can be. I try to be the best extrication person that I can be. I try to be the best person that I can be. Everything we do is somebody's emergency. Nobody's calling us that doesn't have an emergency. They dialed 911, they have an emergency. They need us. And so I am trying to be the best person I can be to help them in whatever their need or emergency is. I'm proud up to this point, but I still feel there's more work to do and that you could always be better. The day you feel you're done, you get complacent, you stop trying your hardest. So I still think I have work to do.
So I usually ask in my in most of my episodes, what kind of advice would you give to a person like me? I'm going to ask that question, but as well, my little brother wants to be a firefighter.
Awesome.
So what would you tell him first?
So I tell anybody, whatever you want to do in life, make sure it makes you happy. I am blessed and I love going to work. When I have my days off, I hate it. I hate not being at work. I like being with my family, don't get me wrong, but I miss my job. I love going to work. I'm not a miserable person. Oh, I got to go to work today. I love my job. So if anybody thinks that firefighting is going to do that for you, then do it. It is the greatest job in the world. Of course, that's my opinion. Other people will say their job is. But I think my job is the greatest job in the world. I get to drive a fire truck for a living. I've managed to travel the world representing the country and my department. I've helped people that need help. I've been able to provide for my family, provide for myself, provide for retirement. But if you want to do it and it's going to make you happy, then focus on that. Graduate high school, be the smartest, best person you can do in your field. Obviously, you have to be in somewhat of a decent shape to carry the heavy tools. There's fire college, do your homework. There's fire college to go to. I didn't know there was a fire college when I was a kid. So there is fire college to go to. You can become a paramedic. So there's not only firefighting, we also do medical stuff. So I'm a paramedic. So you have to learn a lot of medical stuff. And then decide where you want to do it at, because we have firefighting here in Florida, we have firefighting in New York, firefighting in California, and they all provide something different just because of their locations, their weather, their temperatures. So whatever it is, don't give up. If it's what you want, don't give up. Pursue, pursue, pursue. That's what I did.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
You got it, Alex.
That's it for today at Living History with Alex. Stay tuned next time for more videos.